Welcome back to another episode of the Wealth and Wellness Report. Today we have Kyle Ciullo back on the show. We're going to be talking about regenerative design and architecture and business. Welcome back, man.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Grateful to be back.
The last episode that we did, we talked a lot about business and entrepreneurship, family, and how much of an impact we want to make on, our special people and on the planet. So today I'd love to kind of dig in a little bit more about regenerative design and regenerative business architecture, how to develop a business and an enterprise regeneratively, what that means. I think a lot of people have this greenwashed idea of what regenerative truly means. I'd love to learn from you or hear from you. What do you think regenerative means, and how do you apply regenerative methodologies in your world?
Regenerative, seems like a buzzword, but it keeps every, practice or process that is really healthy and natural seems to show a regenerative attribute. Maybe that's it's like an attribute of living systems. So think about nature. The forest is the best example. The forests around the world have been forests for millions and millions of years, with no human intervention or no intervention whatsoever. So in a sense, that forest has been regenerating this whole time. It's been sustaining itself. It's been eating its own food and growing its own resources. And it's just constantly evolving intelligently and not just surviving, but thriving. I think a forest regenerative. So then it's okay, how can we design our built environment and our businesses just like a forest?
So it's a framework of service. Because every component in the forest is providing some sort of ecological service. The fungi, the animals, the trees, the microbiology in the soil, it's all interdependent. And I think what service means to me is a commitment to life and a commitment to others promoting life. So in a regenerative system, I think of a lot of closed loop systems, relationships, and how each relationship is interdependent upon one another's ecological services. I love what Joel Salatin says regarding disturbance in the landscape. Strategic disturbance is the catalyst to ecological innovation. So an example of that in the forest is when a tree falls down because of decay. It's really amazing what the forest will do. It'll actually compartmentalize that decay in the soil and in that particular tree, and it'll almost give itself to this to the overall forest ecology. So the tree will fall over eventually because of wind and just natural forces, and then light emerges into this area where the tree was gone, and then life begins once more. And I love that analogy of the forest because I use that all the time in so many different areas of my life. And not only do I absolutely love to forest bathe, but the metaphors and the amount of learning and understanding that we have on a macro level is just really, I think, a wonderful example, a natural example. So wanting to learn a little bit more about the nature-based inspiration behind Bioticship and how you're using these nature-based solutions to develop these regenerative ventures that you're partnering with?
Yes, the inspiration really came just, I guess, self-optimization. I've been kind of obsessed just with health and wellness. As an entrepreneur, it's kind of like and I played a lot of soccer, a lot of sports throughout my life. So it was, always like human performance, human potential. So the inspiration was just diving even deeper into that. So I discovered things like energy solutions, energy healing. I also discovered things like green infrastructure, nature-based solutions, regenerative farming, growing mushrooms to create alternatives to plastic packaging. So really growing our infrastructure. So discovering that we could do that, and there are people doing that around the world, and we've been doing that forever. That to me was like, that was the inspiration. It's like, wow, we can just grow things naturally and live on all that instead of do all this industrial processing of things and pollute the world, pollute. We put toxins in everything. It's covered in our great U.S. of A. Where in California, it's such a beautiful area. But then as I went deeper into it, there's actually a lot of pollution in here, everywhere. My home included, from the water to the air to the soil. There's just microplastics and toxins and pollutants, and even a lot of the like electromagnetic radiation from all of our technology is slowly just wearing us down at a very subtle level. We don't really notice it, but it's there, and then this is why people get sick, and they don't know why they get sick, or people develop cancer and they don't know where it comes from. It's all this like hidden stuff.
So it's clear that you know the why, the why and what you're doing. How is it applied to the business side? So the Bioticship, the services, the deliverables that you're bringing your partners. How do you integrate these nature-based solutions into the business side of things? Like, what is it exactly that you do with Bioticship to help promote these companies that you're working with?
Perfect. So, it was kind of an interesting journey into this, because I have a strong, passion for these just nature-based solutions. First principles thinking. So businesses, or really just organizations of people doing work in service to nature, or just using first principles thinking, creating the most healthiest solutions to human problems. So when I did an exercise called Ikigai, which is like a Japanese framework for they say it's like your purpose, but it's more kind of, in my opinion, just like finding direction, clarifying direction. So when I mapped out what I love to do, what I'm good at, what I can get paid for, and what I think the world needs, it all zoned in on, nature-based solutions. And then my background has been in business reengineering and large-scale technology implementations. So through that experience, I got to go into probably 50 different large enterprises, from manufacturing, DOTs, construction, venues, fire departments, like our infrastructure. And I got to holistically look at their organization. And this is where we applied business reengineering, but from like a first principles away. As like, okay, looking at the business as a whole, as as a living ecosystem rather than a machine with different parts. We really had to understand what their technology was, what their process was, who the people were, what they were trying to do, and capture like all of these different disconnected, siloed data and ontology and like people processes. We had to understand all of them, and then basically put it together and connect them through either process changes or first process changes and mindset changes around doing the work, like telling someone, hey, they go out, they spend an entire day doing an inspection on a piece of paper, and then taking photos and then bringing it back and then uploading it onto their computer and then dragging and dropping onto a Microsoft Word document for hours trying to get it right. Like explaining to them that they don't have to do that, that they could use this application and input data for 5 minutes and then press a button and then it automatically creates the report. So it saves them almost an entire day. So, even that is a challenge in and of itself. Like, going from the paper and then going to tapping on a mobile phone, you get like, my thumbs are too fat for this. Like, I don't know how to do this. It's too hard, so have to like, train people into that. So that's kind of that's like a living systems approach to business. And then, and all businesses, all organizations suffer from this. This is like the proverbial problem in business is strategy to execution. This is why all the big consultancies exist, because they target taking strategy, which is a lot of more of the feminine energy. So it's a lot of thinking and ideas, and then actually putting together and grounding it all, kind of the masculine energy. So putting a plan together, like really thinking about step by step and the different components and the risks and the people, and like putting together a proper like project plan with execution.
So most of these companies that are coming to you are already aware of some of like the disenfranchised and disconnected components of their business. Or is it more like these businesses that you're partnering with or working with aren't really quite sure why things are working, and they've been kind of inspired to reach out to you based off of your marketing, or do you get a sense to what sort of venture kind of walks in the door to ask for support with Bioticship?
Yeah. Before Bioticship, it was kind of the latter, which is like these organizations just knew they had a problem. They felt it, and they saw other people using technology or doing other things. So they like knew there was a better way. So that's who we found. And then with Bioticship now, it's a lot of early founders so far. That feel the same way. They have some sort of expertise in a nature ecology field. So whether that's the permaculture, like bamboo was a recent one, or like eco restorations, or carbon solutions, or natural buildings. They all have been doing this on their own for many years, and now they feel like they now see more and more people like asking for these things. It's becoming a little more known in our social media days about this stuff. So now they're like, hey, I'm already doing this. I need help like growing it essentially. I want to stop doing this in my backyard and like share this with more people.
Do you find that there's like a really big mindset shift with these folks, or are they already kind of tuned in to the mindset, the difference between having a, kind of a conventional, if you will, mentality, behind business and how to grow and scale a company, and their perspectives on the layering or the integrations of a company's architecture comparatively to some of these regenerative companies that are more focused on an ecosystem design and interdependence design. Are you finding that you're getting a little bit of the two coming in the door, or are you working mostly with one kind of like persona? Are you actually converting some of these conventional entrepreneurial mindsets into educating more on the kind of the regenerative side of things? Do you get like them both, or is it one or the other?
So far, I've just been targeting my messaging and my research to those that are experts or practicing pure like regenerative design. They are working with ecology in a non-toxic, non-chemical way, and introducing those, and they want to introduce those solutions. I'd love to start, and which that's kind of the direction, but I'm really focused on what I think is the cleanest, most nature-centric products first, to go after them and enable that group of people first before kind of attacking the conventional approaches.
Yeah. Could you give some examples of some of the kind of service-based or product-based companies that you work with in their respective industries?
Diego Torrelio at Circlefoot, I think is a great example of a nature-based solution that is ready to scale. So Circlefoot does ecological outdoor transformations, so food forests, water harvesting capture systems, native plants that also not as much water, but then actually feed the soil. So little nitrogen fixers, Diego, Circlefoot, they're experts in knowing which plants to use in the right environment. Again, capturing the water and then growing food. So now, like, it's amazing. Every day I come out, there's like fruit that just drops on the ground, and I pick it up and give it to my kids. And it's so like, if we could take that process and that framework and design and apply it to all landscaping companies in the U.S., our environment would be so much healthier and cleaner for everyone involved. So that's a great example. And another one is a company called Geoship. They've developed a bioceramic dome home that they're going to launch later this year. And they spent about 7 years on the material itself. So it's a bioceramic. It's the same constituents as the human bone. So it's natural fibers in different amounts. And then they basically like cold fire press them together to make panels.
Oh, that's really cool.
So it's one material, and that replaces the exterior, the interior, the adhesives in between, the weatherproofing. Like, you don't need any of it anymore. Look, conventional construction, you need like
tons of layers.
Tons of layers, and most of it's pretty toxic or like really bad materials. It's just been, it's just not a good material. So that replaces all the materials. It's like half the cost. And again, it's a natural material. So when you're, as a person, you're in this home and you're next to this material, you actually like get energy from it. You feel it. And it's in the shape of a dome. So there's no edges. Just like us, just like humans. So there's like a perspective thing on that. And there's, again, a feeling, there's an energy that it creates that is that is different than standing in a box. And you have to really go in there and like sense it to know what I'm talking about.
I think it generally people who are either non-believers or unaware, uneducated, just typically need to spend time in an environment that promotes, the energetics, the positive, the positive energies, the right material, all that stuff. Like trees is a really good example.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you live under more mature trees, studies have shown that you sleep better. Your heart rates are more calibrated. You have better energy levels. You don't get sick as much. And I find that fascinating because it correlates to the real estate bit, because when you're looking at mature neighborhoods that have, an urban forest that is mature, typically not only are the inhabitants in those neighborhoods happier, but the real estate values are generally higher. And I think there's a direct correlation between, happiness and real estate value. And if we could convert the majority of these boxes into more geodesic, energy-rich architecture, and then we layer the living into it,
Exactly.
that would be a game changer, because then you're shifting from mechanical systems to living systems. And I think there's a direct parallel between the happiness, the value that you see in life, and then, the propulsion into the next set of generations. You know what I mean? It's like a really good, it's just a really good deal. So circle foot, geodesic, domes. Are you working with any other tech companies, or do you have other service-based providers that you're working with that you'd like to share?
There's another. So I'm also focused on just San Francisco Bay Area as well. Also,
it's probably a good market for you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's a huge market. It's the biggest economy in the world. So it's like, why do I need to go anywhere else? And this is home for me. So that's part of the regeneration strategy, is like we have to create local resilient systems as well. So, instead of worrying about the rest of the world and trying to solve, feed the rest of the world or solve the rest of the world's problems, just focusing on your local community is like, that's the first step. And even that's more than enough, as well. So, anyway, so, another collective of regenerators, to shout out to Cosmic Labyrinth, who does eco restoration events, and then Cultivating Self does essentially like self development, healing, and then like integrative care. So like they practice a lot of Ayurvedic medicines approach, astrology, and is like they're also nurses as well, so they have kind of the full holistic care. So with them, I'm partnering on creating a kind of all-in-one bioregional hub in Crockett, California, which is this hub will be a farm stop combined with an ecoversity, combined with a health clinic. So the health clinic using the food from the farm stop as medicine. So food is medicine. And then the ecoversity brings in all the local community, regenerative members, practitioners around the ecosystem, the students, volunteers, civic leaders as well, all for the community. And what's unique is Crockett has a big oil refinery there, and like a sugarcane factory, and these industries have been polluting that area for the last 40, 50 years. So it's in a crisis, essentially, when you look at what's called the donut economics around Crockett. So not just the financial, but the social and the environmental metrics. It is in a crisis. You can't even you shouldn't grow your food there in the soil because of how many hydrocarbons are in there. So and there's a community of people there. There's a lot of great people there. And that's had a traumatic experience there as well. There was like the crack cocaine epidemic that was around there as well. So it's got a lot of history and a lot of trauma. So that's like a perfect place to regenerate the people, regenerate the environment, through community building and like a safe spot, to get healthy food, to get education, to connect with other people. So I'm excited about that one because it really checks all these boxes. You talk about like, carbon sequestration and biodiversity and water and kind of all of these enterprise sustainability metrics. This solution hits on all of those consistently for a community and the environment. So it's like those to me are the true regeneration solutions.
Yeah.
Other than, kind of carbon sequestration, solutions. I'm not saying all are bad, but I would just, I would challenge making them better.
I think a lot about how it all starts. Like we talk a lot about the doing, like how to develop a regenerative community, how to develop a regenerative business, how to, do it and then doing it. But easier said than done, I think, for a lot of people, especially who are stuck and feeling discontent or disconnected with themselves and their environment. Because there's a lot of, it's prevalent throughout the United States, a lot of disconnection. Certain groups are disconnected from areas of healthy food, healthy environment, healthy water, clean living. It's just unfortunate that there are a lot of areas in our country that don't have access to these very important, and I think, these things, it's just a human right. All of this is just human rights. So how do we start the process? And Darren, as you know, Darren Doherty always talks about the climate of the mind and how it really starts there. Like how to change your mindset from going from the conventional and into the sustainable or the organic or the regenerative, thinking more about the whole rather than just the individual. Phil and I, who I'm working with, he's an incredible illustrator, are kind of brainstorming an animated illustration on how to map the steps from an ego mindset to an eco mindset. And it all starts with awareness and realizing the disconnection from nature, from others, from yourself. And it's a feeling of something's off. Something's not right. My choices have a wider impact and I need to do something. And it's like, I was talking to him about this because we had an amazing session the other day. It's like, when you have a problem or you have an issue and it's chemical, like alcohol, like you're an alcoholic, it's easier said than than done to quit, right? So you go to AA, but before you go to AA, you have to have the awareness that you have a problem. And then you can go and ask for help. So I think that's step one. Step two is questioning. You have to start asking where stuff comes from, where things are made, how they're manufactured, who does it affect, why do I need this so much? Because in the United States, I think there's a lot of, or even in the Western world, really, there's a lot of consumerism. Like the United States is the biggest consumer on the planet. Like we just want to buy. The holidays come, we need to buy stuff. There's always this feeling of consumption. It's embedded within our culture. We have to consume, and we become hyper consumerism as a country. So to begin asking those questions of where things come from and who they affect and its impact is the next step. The third step is then a shift in value, where you're beginning to redefine success from having more of so you're redefining success from having more to being more conscious. So it's not about how much you accumulate, but more of like the mindset and the understanding of the value. I care less about image and more about impact. Then you become like more connected with everything. And that reconnection is, I think the catalyst, and we've talked about this before, is being in nature. Like your environment has a very, very huge impact on your ability to reconnect with yourself and with the surrounding environment. So it's then like I'm not separate from nature. I am of it. I am a part of it. And that's step number 4. Step number 5 is then responsibility. Like we're now accepting this role as a steward and not a conqueror. I can design, build, and live in ways that actually heal instead of the opposite, where I'm now consuming. I'm out there just, without any awareness or any connection to anything other than what I need here for me now on an individual level, without an understanding of the impact to others. That will then give us the responsibility, in my opinion, to move into the next step, which is the thinking, the regenerative thinking, moving from sustainability, which is doing less harm, to regeneration, which is actively an improvement of the systems that we're a part of. So the question is, how can I take this choice and give back more than it takes? And that's the Ouroboros, right? That's the closed loop system where a constant enhancement is always occurring. It's because, the reality of the greenwashed term sustainability, to me, just keeps things like this. Yeah. You're sustaining itself at a level, but regeneration is this constant improvement. And that leads us to our next step, which is full embodiment. So our actions are aligned, our businesses are aligned, our lifestyle is aligned, and we can become leaders with these ecological principles and these strategies and implement them and teach others this way. So I live in service to a thriving future for all of life. And this 7-step process, I think, once put into practice, will help empower individuals from moving from the ego mindset and into the eco mindset. This is the way, I think, to help propel us into more of these projects that we want to see in our communities. And I think it starts with ourselves. It's really an introspective, internal questioning, awareness process that then it's like metamorphosis. You're starting out as a caterpillar and then you become this butterfly. But you can't become the butterfly until you go into like this incubation period. Like you're going back inside to rework everything and then come back out this beautiful new being. The journey isn't linear ever. It's always cyclical. I love how you've taken this nature-based business of yours and have developed an audience and a community, and you're out there doing it. What is your plan for the next 10 to 15 years? Like what do you want to see Bioticship create in terms of positive and regenerative impact in our community, but more importantly, your family? Like where do you see this all coalescing in the next 10 to 15 years?
Well, my goal has always been, like I started, like a lot of, I think, people in the U.S. just kind of, going through the process, going to school, went to community college, went to college, like snuck into college essentially. Like I didn't have the grades to it, but somehow I was able to get in, and then got a job, worked at an enterprise as an employee for 5 years. And then, that's when I left that convention, did a startup, and kind of been on my own. But the goal has always been to make a living, make as much money as I would in an enterprise as an employee, doing something that I love, that I get a lot of energy for. To me, that's retirement to me. So I've always wanted to retire by 40. So I got one more year to go, but I'm pretty close, because my definition of retiring is to do what I love for the rest of my life, and support my family for it. So pretty close. And to do that, use my current skills in essentially business building, so growth systems, social media marketing, marketing lifecycle, customer success, technology, and help others building businesses in the nature realm do that. And that I'm finding I can make money from that. I can help others make money and make money as well. So doing it's like a self-fulfilling little ecosystem of people where we're all have the same mission and we're making money together. That's awesome. So that's the goal with kind of the Bioticship kind of consultancy. And create a little system that is kind of self-managing to support myself and my family. And then once I do that, in parallel, that will begin funding the creation of these hubs around the world. Like I have another strong desire to create these wellness venues, these venues that bring in community, that bring in healthy food, that bring in healers, people that'll help you discover yourself and your powers, teach these frameworks. So like you said, the culture is a big thing. Like if we had a culture that taught all these stuff from the beginning, I think we'd be much better off. But that's not the culture we were in. So a lot of us, including myself, have to relearn a lot of things. We got a lot of mental blocks and traumas that we need to relearn. Like you said, we have a lot of ego. We need to kind of relearn that, get back to the ego. But that takes the process. So 10, 15 years, build a sustainable consultancy that is helping nature-based enterprises succeed through just valuable content, processes, systems, a community, and then while investing in various real estate venues and helping those succeed as well. Because I think these hubs are right now what I see as the biggest impact is because they're churning out ideas. It's like a incubator for nature-based solutions. It's healing people. It's teaching people about food, and it's community oriented. So the sense of place is like all baked into that as well. Brings in all the indigenous tribes around there as well, so they can get connected into it all too. So that's kind of the 10, 15 year.
Cool. Well, I'll throw some at you too that I've been thinking a lot about too is the current global economic system and how this money that we use is extremely inflationary and has not been backed by any sort of value probably since like the 70s. As we're creating these regenerative economies and we're investing in these businesses that are promoting this wellness and this regenerative mindset and these services, how do you see this currency or this global economic system that we're currently in modifying or impacting these regenerative economies at scale that we're looking to grow? Because money is, to me, money is the representation of the ability to do work, and energy is the ability to do work. So if this money is directly correlated to energy, and the energy that's used to drive this economy is finite, how do we create a regenerative economy that decouples from this conundrum that we're facing? Because it's this infinite growth paradigm with a fiat currency that is backed by an energy that is finite. So they're colliding. I think that to me has been such a huge question. Like, how do we scale these regenerative economies, but also at the same time decouple from this monetary system that's hyperinflationary and based off of an energy that is finite?
Yeah. I'm no economist. I guess, my perspective is like, at a high level, this is a poly crisis, which needs like poly solutions. So it's like multi avenues. So in terms of, I guess, money or like finances nowadays, so this is like part of the, regenerative enterprise or nature-based solution kind of financial layer. Is there's all these financial instruments now. So it's not just like revenue. That's like has been the gold standard for businesses all the time. Just profit, revenue. That was it. Well, now you can raise money from venture. You can get donations through philanthropy or government through grants. Obviously, you can do revenue. You can also build community of volunteers and people that are looking to learn. You can share resources such as food and clothing and other forms of value, like the gift economy. So there's several money. What is like what you're saying is just a form of exchange or energy. Like, it doesn't have to be a dollar bill. It can be so many different things. Right. So that is currently being reimagined and implemented on a community level. Because, like, for example, if you want to do a beautification or a green infrastructure project in a city or a community, like, we don't need to hire experts outside of that region. There's experts in that region that know how to do these things. Let's just get them in here, and you save a whole bunch of money, and we can exchange more than just money with them too, because it's helping their community as well. So like the globalization needs to just come more into that kind of decentralized.
So it's like a descaling.
Instead
of a scaling.
It's both. So yeah, maybe I should just go back to that. So there's like, it's the internal, like the self coming from the internal. That starts at the community. So you need these people that are like community weavers, and there's archetypes of these people in each community where they're just like talking to everyone, and they're finding about what they do and what they love, and like that's all they do is they like get people together. So one solution is it starts with community, and like even that's what a family is. Like when I had my issues, and then our family issues, the community was just so powerful. My grandma and her kids. So like that's one solution, is we got to start from local systems and out and build this new regenerative economy based on all these different revenue streams. And then in terms of the scaling down, it's really just a matter of data, because our world just needs data and proof and whatever. Now we're starting to do that with like impact investing and with ESG, which I know is like a big topic, but these are things, it's headed in the right direction. It's just really slow. But the fact that we're starting to track carbon and biodiversity and water quality, like this is the route we're going. The tokenization of nature is basically what they're doing. As long as we can start measuring nature more, then we can show that people that are healing the landscape or healing the people, you can see it in the data. You can see it in the proof. Beyond the financial balance sheet, we can now stack up these big enterprises and look at their social balance sheet and their environmental balance sheet and be like, okay, who's really providing value here in the world? So the more data that we can show, this qualitative data that we can show, then the money will start shifting over to there. And I'm already seeing it.
That's the bridge, because and that would be the optimal and the most efficient way, because I think of other, I think of like the Cuban crisis, when the Soviet Union fell in the 90s, early 90s, when the Soviet Union and the Soviet bloc imploded, all of the energy that was being delivered to the island of Cuba all of a sudden just stopped. So they were forced to descale. And in that descale, they decentralized their agricultural systems, their government, their banks. Everything went down to the local level. And from that grew the economies of scale that were regenerative in many, many different ways, particularly the food, and how the food was grown and where it was grown and how it was exchanged. I think the tokenization of nature could provide the bridge or the catalyst without the impact of an environmental or some sort of external event that were to happen. God forbid we get hit by an asteroid, or, there's no more oil that's recoverable that is going to allow, because if it's too expensive to extract, we're going to need to use something else. And I was talking to some friends about this the other day, which is a really interesting topic. Like the idea of like converting all of our automobiles to electric vehicles. The reality of it is we don't have the infrastructure, at least in California, to provide the charging capacities at scale. PG&E is already in deep trouble. The manufacturing of these batteries are needing the raw materials that are coming from very unstable third world countries. So the geopolitical climates of these regions are making it even more expensive, not to mention the humanitarian crisis that's occurring with these areas and these people. The tokenization of nature, however, and the ability to acquire the data that you said and implement that data as a store of value to instigate, inspire, and propel regenerative economies that do create an impact on the global level. Because even though we want to decentralize and create these communities, I think there's a global community that we need to be thinking of, like that whole world, or that whole saying, think globally, act locally. The monetary system would be this global tokenization, and then the micro level is the community and the ability to create these free markets that buy, sell, trade food, services, goods, products, is such an interesting concept, because we're certainly heading in that direction. And based on what we're seeing evolve with, the Securities and Exchange Commissions, other government agencies and organizations that are beginning to open up the idea or being okay with the idea of tokenization outside of like digital, like central digital bank currencies and like these other types of currencies that would be, I think, detrimental to humanity. The decentralization and the ability to have a store of value with nature is just, I think, a really interesting concept. Yeah.
Well, that's my optimistic view. Is like where there's people doing this stuff already from all, like you said, globally. There are regenerators, these kind of first principles thinkers, businesses that are rooted in ecology all around the world. They're doing it. And there's technologists that are developing decentralized coins around these things and new economies and coordination systems. Just new decentralized chat rooms for regeneration projects. You spoke to Darren in Australia, like because of their desertification in Australia, they have already been doing this for many, many years because they were already in this state. Like their resources were desertifying. So they were forced to figure out how to essentially terraform and create more natural resources. So it's like, we just need to connect with these experts that have already been doing these things and then bring them integrated into our economy.
I think I'm inclined to start taking Bitcoin as a payment. So something that Brian and I talked about, Brian Cox, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, was the potential for quantum computing to become the hack into these blockchains. Like it, for those that don't know, Bitcoin happens to be probably the best store of value on the planet currently, outside of tangible assets like real estate or gold. It's up and coming. It's the next, go-to store of value on the planet. And it's just the tokenization and the digitization of currency. What's really interesting though, is this, advent of AI and quantum computing. Do you think, and this is where my mind's going, it's like, we can tokenize nature. We can create a store of value that's decentralized. We can generate these regenerative economies and develop, a strategy, a macro strategy to have a positive impact on the planet, on our communities, macro to micro. However, the currency or the form of monetary value that we use to exchange should be finite, in my opinion, because it is a store of value and a way to create a sense of urgency, which I think propels economic, production and all that stuff. But where I'm headed is like, okay, if we go digital with this storage of value and with AI and quantum computing, is it safe? Mm-hmm. Is it a place where we can be confident that it won't be hacked into, this store of value, because that's what ultimately we want to, like, at least this is what we're all about on this show is wealth and wellness. We want to be able to work our butts off to create a life that brings us happiness and joy, and to store the value in which we work so hard for in a place that we know will be able to be handed off to future generations. Mm-hmm. With this quantum computing and AI and the digitization or the tokenization of our economy and nature, is it safe to go completely all in to that space and utilize that as the main form of exchange? Or is it maybe something that we kind of use as a backup, or it's, I think, a diversity, right? Like there's resiliency in the diversity. If you look at nature. So maybe it's not just this, maybe it's like a few different things. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah. I think it's everything as a tool. Yeah, I mean, that's can go many different directions in that, I guess. Yeah, I always go back to just like what is in my control. And that's why I'm taking aggressive steps to learn how to live self-sustainably, how I can grow my own food, capture my own energy through got the solar panels, the water harvesting, and there's more technology out there. There's more processes that we can implement to live more sustainably, so that I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. I can just live my life and provide education to my kids and food and good times, and that's good. I don't have to worry about anything else. So that's kind of the knowing what I can control and what I can't control perspective. That's how I am able to tune out a lot of the noise. But then on the other side, I am also interested in all this stuff. I do follow it. I follow technology as a pastime. So then it just comes down to being a good investor. That's the reality of our global economy. Is like you have to invest. Invest your time or your resources. You got to invest it somewhere. So then it just becomes, what's a good investor? So that's one of the first things I did in my research, and I liked your 8-step process, which is or 7 or 8, which sounds very similar to kind of that Maslow hierarchy of needs. In order to like make these big transformations and relearn things, like you have to be psychologically safe in order to even like think of these things. Digital, like basically everything already today is run digitally. Like our whole economy is based on old database architecture, and like there's probably a couple people that have access to like just put numbers in this database. So like this whole like general ledger, blockchain, we've already had this technology for many, many years. There's really not much innovation other than this kind of programmable money, which Bitcoin was one of the first that did it and was adopted. Like a lot of this stuff is just like human it's all human made. And like, it didn't have to, like, it did solve this kind of double spend problem. You can read the white paper. Like, there are some tech, tech innovation in it. But the fact that us humans decided to adopt it and make it a reality, that's why I think it's safe. Now we've built a culture around about Bitcoin and kind of what it stands for, even though it might not actually be like the technology that does it, but the fact that there's a whole ton of people that believe in Bitcoin and what it stands for and what it needs to do is why, it'll just keep going. And yeah, we've already been running on technology for this whole time. So, I think it's safe. And it's like, the good investor does have some diversity. They stick with their strengths and their alpha. So I think putting a Bitcoin, a small percentage on a balance sheet would be, if you're younger, would make sense. And then kind of invest that rest into what you know and what you like.
I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see how things pan out. But I am definitely not only watching closely, but actively pursuing the way, the craft, the mindset, and to develop the wealth and wellness. Not only do I want to see in my life and my family's life, but all my friends, all my family, all my trade partners, and I'm willing to put the burden of the world's problems on my shoulders, because I tend to do that. Cool, man. Well, this has been great. How can people learn more about you and your business?
You could just go to probably my LinkedIn, Kyle Ciullo, Ciullo. Cool. I put a lot of kind of my background there. I have a website, bioticship.com. Beginning a YouTube channel called Nature's Renaissance. You can check that out.
Awesome.
And follow, these partners.
Cool. That sounds great, man. Well, I think we're going to wrap up. If you guys enjoyed the show, please be sure to click on the subscribe button below and let us know what you like. See you on the next one.